The Galactic Council ruled against Earth. Part 1 Captain Kim Dae-ho stood in the center of the massive crystal chamber. The walls sparkled with blue and green light that came from somewhere deep inside the station. Around him, hundreds of alien beings sat in curved rows that went up and up until they disappeared in the shadows above. He had never seen so many different kinds of life in one place. There were creatures that looked like giant spiders with golden fur. Others had skin like tree bark and eyes that glowed red. Some floated in tanks of purple water, while others stood on 6 legs that bent in impossible ways. All of them were staring at him. Dr. Park So-min stood to his right. She was Earth's best scientist when it came to studying alien life. Her hands shook a little as she held her data pad, but her face stayed calm. On his left was Admiral Lee Tae-woo, the commander of Earth's small space fleet. The old soldier kept his back straight and his eyes forward, but Kim Dae-ho could see the tension in his jaw. "The human delegation may now speak," said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The translation device in Kim Dae-ho's ear turned the alien words into Korean, then into English. Kim Dae-ho stepped forward. His boots made soft clicking sounds on the crystal floor. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," he began. "I am Captain Kim Dae-ho of Earth. We come before you today to ask for membership in the Galactic Federation." A loud noise filled the chamber. It sounded like wind through metal pipes, mixed with the buzzing of 1,000 insects. Kim Dae-ho realized it was the sound of hundreds of aliens talking at once. From the highest platform, a creature that looked like a giant praying mantis made of silver metal raised one arm. The noise stopped immediately. "I am Velthanis of the Velthari Empire," the creature said. Its voice was cold and sharp. "We have studied your species for many cycles. You are dangerous?" "Dangerous?" Dr. Park So-min stepped forward. "We only want to learn and trade with other worlds." Velthanis tilted its head. The movement was too quick, too sharp. It made Kim Dae-ho think of a snake about to strike. "Your species has spent its entire history fighting wars. You kill your own kind over small pieces of land. You poison your own planet for profit. And yet somehow, you learn to travel between stars in less time than any other species in our records." "That shows we can adapt quickly," Admiral Lee Tae-woo said. His voice was steady and strong. "We learned from our mistakes." A new voice spoke from across the chamber. This one belonged to a creature that looked like a giant lizard covered in red scales. "The Krex Dominion agrees with the Velthari. Humans are unpredictable. They form emotional attachments to other species instead of following proper hierarchy. This makes them unstable partners." Kim Dae-ho felt anger rising in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. "We believe that friendship makes us stronger, not weaker." More alien voices joined the debate. Some spoke in favor of humans, but most did not. Kim Dae-ho listened carefully to every word. He noticed something interesting. While the aliens argued about whether humans should be allowed to join them, they were also sharing information they probably should not share. Lieutenant Yoon-ji-hai stood quietly behind the main group. She was young and looked like just another aide, but she was actually one of Earth's best intelligence officers. Kim Dae-ho saw her fingers moving slightly over her hidden recording device. She was capturing everything. The lizard creature continued, speaking. "Humans have already tried to establish colonies outside their system. They ignore our borders and take resources that belong to council members." "We only took resources from empty worlds," Dr. Park So-min replied. "We made sure no one else was using them first." "That is not your decision to make," Velthanis said. Its metal arms moved in sharp, angry gestures. "The Council decides who can use which resources. The Council decides who can travel where. The Council decides who deserves to join our civilization." A small blue creature that looked like it was made of living water spoke up. "The Ashanti Collective believes humans show promise. They helped us fight off pirates near the Centauri system. They asked for nothing in return." Velthanis turned toward the blue creature so fast it made a metallic screech. "The Ashanti Collective forgets its place. You speak only because we allow it." Kim Dae-ho saw the blue creature shrink back into its chair. He also saw other aliens looking uncomfortable. Some whispered to each other in languages his translator could not understand. Lieutenant Yoon Ji-hee moved her fingers again. She was recording the political tensions between different council members. This information could be very useful later. The debate went on for hours. Kim Dae-ho answered question after question about human history, technology, and intentions. Dr. Park, So-min explained how humans had developed faster-than-light travel. Admiral Lee Tae-woo described Earth's small but growing fleet of starships. During the questions, the aliens revealed much more than they intended. They talked about their trade routes, their military positions, and their disagreements with each other. They mentioned which species were unhappy with council rule and which ones were planning to ask for independence. Lieutenant Yoon Ji-hee recorded everything. Finally, Velthanis called for the vote. All members of the Galactic Council will now decide, should the human species be granted full membership and rights within the Galactic Federation? Kim Dae-ho watched as lights appeared above each alien delegate. Green lights meant yes. Red lights meant no. As the counting went on, his heart sank. There were far more red lights than green ones. The final count appeared in the air above the chamber in symbols that his translator turned into numbers. 623 against, 224 for. The motion fails, Velthanis announced. Furthermore, the human species is hereby restricted to their home system. They may not establish colonies on new worlds. They may not form trade agreements with Federation members. They may not travel beyond the boundaries we set for them. Kim Dae-ho felt the weight of failure settle on his shoulders. Earth had hoped to join the galactic community. Instead, they were being locked away like prisoners in their own solar system. Dr. Park So-min gasped softly. Admiral Lee Tae-woo's hands clenched into fists. Behind them, Lieutenant Yoon Ji-hee kept her face blank. But Kim Dae-ho knew she was thinking the same thing he was. The council had made a mistake. In their arrogance, they had revealed their weaknesses. They had shown how divided they really were. They had given Earth exactly the information it needed to plan its next move. Kim Dae-ho stepped forward and bowed politely. We understand your decision. Honored counselors, humanity will respect the boundaries you have set. His voice was calm and respectful. His face showed no anger or defiance, but his eyes told a different story. They were the eyes of a man who was already planning. As the human delegation left the crystal chamber, Kim Dae-ho smiled slightly. The Galactic Council thought they had won. They thought they had put humanity in its place. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Galactic Council ruled against Earth. Part 6 months had passed since the vote. The galaxy was quiet. Council patrol ships reported that human vessels had stopped trying to cross the invisible border around the Sol system. Trade monitors showed that Earth's radio signals were getting weaker. It seemed like the humans had finally accepted their fate. The council members were pleased with themselves. They had put the dangerous humans in their place without firing. A single shot. They were completely wrong. On the dark side of Earth's moon, engineer Choi Min-ho walked through a tunnel that did not exist on any official map. The tunnel was carved deep into the moon's rock, hidden from any scanning device the council might use. Emergency lights cast red shadows on the walls as he made his way to the main laboratory. The laboratory was huge. It stretched for kilometers, under the moon's surface. Hundreds of human scientists and engineers worked at stations filled with alien technology. Most of the equipment had been taken from crashed council ships over the years. Some pieces had been traded from independent merchants who did not care about council rules. Dr. Bae Hyo-jin looked up from her workstation as Choi Min-ho approached. Her face was tired but excited. She had been working for 18 hours straight, but her eyes were bright with discovery. We did it, she said quietly. The new drive works. Choi Min-ho felt his heart beat faster. Are you sure? Dr. Bae Hyo-jin nodded toward a small device on her table. It was about the size of a book, but it hummed with energy that made the air around it shimmer. The test was perfect. This drive can move a ship 10 times faster than anything the Council has. And it uses half the power. How is that possible? Choi Min-ho asked. Human brains work differently, Dr. Bae Hyo-jin explained. When we think about space and time, we see patterns that other species miss. The Council builds their drives by following old rules. We built ours by breaking those rules. Across the laboratory, other teams were making similar breakthroughs. Human engineers were combining technologies from dozens of different alien species. They were creating new metals that were stronger than anything known before. They were building computers that could think faster than Council artificial minds. They were designing weapons that could punch through any known shield. The most important discovery was happening in a special section of the laboratory. There, human scientists were learning to work with alien refugees who had escaped from Council worlds. These aliens brought knowledge that the Council had tried to keep secret for thousands of years. Meanwhile, far from Earth, Captain Kang Soo-jin floated in the command chair of her ship. The ship did not show up on any scanner. Its hull was covered with a special material that bent light and energy around it. To any alien sensor, the ship looked like just another piece of space rock. Captain Kang Soo-jin was studying a holographic map of a Council military base. Her ship had been watching the base for 3 weeks, recording everything. How many ships came and went? What kind of weapons they carried? How often the guards changed shifts? "Captain," her communications officer said quietly. "We have a message. From command." Captain Kang Soo-jin activated her secure channel. The face of Admiral Lee Tae-woo appeared on her screen. He looked older than he had 6 months ago, but his eyes were sharp. "Status report, Captain," the Admiral said. "The Velthari base at Kepler 442 is exactly as our intelligence suggested," Captain Kang Soo-jin replied. 47 ships mostly, patrol craft. The main weapons array faces toward the hyperspace jump point. They are not expecting an attack from behind the asteroid field. "Good. Move to your next target. We need complete information on all Council positions before we begin." The transmission ended. Captain Kang Soo-jin looked at her crew. They were all young, all volunteers. They knew they might never see Earth again, but they also knew they were doing something important. "Set course for the Rigel system," she ordered. "Time to see what the Kreks are hiding there." On a neutral trading station near the galactic core, diplomat Han Woo-jin sat in a dark bar drinking something that tasted like metal and flowers. He looked like any other human trader trying to make a profit in the few places where Council law was not enforced. But Han Woo-jin was not really a trader. He was Earth's best spy. Across the table from him sat a creature that looked like a blue octopus made of water. This was Ambassador Rix Tell of the Ashanti Collective. The Ashanti had voted in favor of human membership in the Council, but their voice had been ignored. "My people grow tired of Velthari control," Ambassador Rix Tell said in a voice like waves, on a beach. "For too long, we have been forced to follow their rules. Their taxes drain our worlds. Their laws prevent us from trading with who we choose." Han Woo-jin leaned forward. "What are you suggesting?" "There are others who feel as we do," Ambassador Rix Tell continued. "The Irix Commonwealth has been planning to break away from the Council for decades. The Thurgan slaves dream of freedom. Even some of the smaller Velthari colonies are unhappy with their treatment. The Council would never allow it," Han Woo-jin said. Ambassador Rix Tell's tentacles moved in what Han Woo-jin had learned was the Ashanti equivalent of a smile. "The Council is not as strong as it pretends to be. Most of their power comes from fear. But what if someone showed the galaxy that the Council could be defeated?" Han Woo-jin understood. The Ashanti were not just unhappy with Council rule. They were ready to rebel. They were looking for someone to lead the rebellion. "Hypothetically," Han Woo-jin said carefully, "what would such a rebellion need?" "Ships, weapons, technology. Most importantly, hope." Ambassador Rix Tell paused. "We have heard rumors that humans are more advanced than they appeared at the Council meeting." Han Woo-jin kept his face neutral. "Humans are resourceful." "Yes," Ambassador Rix Tell agreed. "Resourceful. Enough to change the galaxy." When Han Woo-jin returned to his ship that night, he sent a coded message back to Earth. The message was short, but important. "The galaxy is ready for change. Many species will join us if we show them it is possible." On Earth, President Kim Young-soo read the message in his secure office deep underground. Around him, his advisors waited for his decision. The room was quiet, except for the soft humming of computers processing information from across the galaxy. "How many ships do we have ready?" the president asked. 57 with the new drives," Admiral Lee Tae-woo replied. "All equipped with technologies the Council has never seen before." "How many allies can we count on?" "At least 12 species are ready to join us immediately," diplomat Han Woo-jin's recorded voice said from the speakers. "Maybe twice that number if we succeed in our first operations." President Kim Young-soo stood and walked to the large window that showed a view of space. Earth looked beautiful and peaceful from this underground room. But he knew that peace was an illusion. The Council would never let humanity grow beyond their current borders. Eventually, they would decide that even keeping humans in the Sol system was too dangerous. "Gentlemen," President Kim Young-soo said, "authorize Operation Prometheus. It is time to show the galaxy what humans can really do." The advisors began making calls. Across Earth and its hidden bases, military commanders received new orders. Ships that had been hidden in asteroid fields powered up their engines. Soldiers who had been training in secret prepared their equipment. The galaxy thought humanity had been defeated. Soon, they would learn the truth. The vote against Earth had not ended humanity's dreams of joining galactic civilization. It had started something much bigger. It had started a revolution. The Galactic Council ruled against Earth. Part 3. The emergency alarms were screaming across 17 different star systems at exactly the same time. Council commanders stared at their screens in shock and confusion. Human ships had appeared, everywhere at once, doing something that should have been impossible with their primitive technology. But these were not the small, weak ships the Council remembered from 6 months ago. Captain Nam Gi-tae stood on the bridge of his ship as it dropped out of hyperspace above Kepler 442b. Through the main window, he could see the brown and gray planet below. This world had been a Velthari mining colony for over 300 years. The native Thurgan people had been slaves for so long that most of them had forgotten what freedom looked like. "Scanning the surface, Captain," his sensor officer reported. "Detecting approximately 50,000 Thurgan life signs in the mining facilities. Velthari guards number around 3,000. Captain Nam Gi-tae nodded. The intelligence reports had been accurate. "Launch the drop pods. Remember, we are here to free people, not to kill them. Disable the guards if possible, but protect the civilians at all costs." 20 small pods shot down toward the planet's surface. Each pod carried 5 human soldiers wearing advanced combat suits that had been impossible to build just 1 year ago. The suits were black and silver, and they moved like liquid metal around the soldiers' bodies. The suits did more than just protect the soldiers. They connected directly to their nervous systems, making them faster and stronger than any normal human. More importantly, they let the soldiers share thoughts and feelings with each other instantly. When one soldier saw an enemy, all 20 soldiers knew about it immediately. On the planet's surface, Velthari guards were raising the alarm. Their metal bodies moved quickly as they grabbed their weapons and prepared to fight, but they had never faced an enemy like this before. The human soldiers moved through the mining complex like shadows. Their suits bent light around them, making them nearly invisible. When they needed to fight, they moved with perfect coordination. It was like watching 20 people share the same mind. Guard Captain Velkarim had been defending Velthari territory for 40 years. He had fought pirates, rebels, and wild animals. But as he watched his soldiers fall one by one to enemies he could barely see, he felt something he had never felt before: fear. "All units, fall back to the central complex," he ordered through his communication device. "Activate the automated defenses." But the humans had already thought of that. Before the attack began, they had used their advanced computers to study every Velthari defense system. They knew exactly how to disable the automated weapons without destroying them. In the slave quarters, a Thurgan named Krixtal huddled with his family as strange sounds echoed through the mining tunnels. The Thurgans looked like tall, thin humans covered in golden fur. They had large eyes that could see in the dark, and hands with 6 fingers that were perfect for delicate work. Krixtal had been born a slave. His parents had been slaves. His children would be slaves. That was simply how the universe worked. Then the door to their quarters opened, and a figure in black armor stepped inside. Krixtal prepared to die. Instead, the figure removed its helmet, revealing a human face. "My name is Sergeant Park Min-soo," the human said in perfect Thurgan language. "We are here to take you home." Krixtal stared at the human in confusion. "Home? This is our home. We belong to the Velthari." "No," Sergeant Park Min-soo said gently. "You belong to yourselves. Come with us if you want to be free." Similar scenes were playing out across the mining complex. Human soldiers were not just defeating the Velthari guards. They were offering the Thurgan slaves something they had never imagined possible: a choice. Meanwhile, in space above the planet, more Velthari ships were arriving. War leader Velkarath commanded the battlecruiser Dominion's Will, one of the most powerful ships in the Velthari fleet. He expected to find a small human raiding party that he could easily destroy. Instead, he found Admiral Lee Tae-woo waiting for him. The human ship was unlike anything in Council records. It was huge, but it moved like a fighter craft. Its hull was covered in armor that seemed to shift and change as Velkarath watched. Strange energy patterns danced across its surface. "This is war leader Velkarath of the Velthari Empire," he broadcast on all frequencies. "Surrender immediately or face destruction." The reply came from Admiral Lee Tae-woo himself. "This is Admiral Lee Tae-woo of the Earth Defense Force. You are ordered to withdraw from this system. The Thurgan people are under our protection now." Velkarath laughed, a sound like metal scraping against metal. "You have one ship. I have 12. Your mathematics are poor, human." "Let me show you some better mathematics," Admiral Lee Tae-woo replied. The human ship opened fire, but these were not the simple energy weapons the Council knew about. These beams seemed to bend space itself, hitting Velthari ships from impossible angles. The human ship's computers predicted every move the Velthari made, countering their attacks, before they even began. Around the main battle, smaller human fighters danced between the Velthari cruisers. The pilots moved with the same perfect coordination as the soldiers on the planet's surface. When one pilot was in danger, 3 others would appear to help him. When they attacked, they struck as one unit while maintaining their individual creativity and skill. The Velthari had never seen anything like it. Their own ships fought well individually, but they could not match the seamless teamwork of the human forces. One by one, Velthari ships began to fail. Their weapons were disabled. Their engines stopped working. But the humans did not destroy them. Instead, they captured them intact. When the battle was over, Velkarath found himself a prisoner aboard the human flagship. He expected to be tortured or killed. Instead, he was brought to a clean medical bay where human doctors treated his injuries. Admiral Lee Tae-woo visited him there. The human looked tired but satisfied. "Why did you not kill me?" Velkarath asked. "I would have killed you, because we are not like you," Admiral Lee Tae-woo replied. "We believe that even enemies deserve to live. You will be returned to your people with a message." "What message?" Admiral Lee Tae-woo smiled. "That humanity seeks justice, not vengeance. That the age of the Council's tyranny is ending, and that any species that wants freedom can find it by joining us." Velkarath was silent for a long moment. "The Council will never accept this. They will send their entire fleet to destroy you." "Let them try," Admiral Lee Tae-woo said. "But first they should ask themselves a question. If we can defeat you so easily, what else might we be capable of?" The message spread across the galaxy faster than the speed of light. In council chambers on Nexus Prime, emergency meetings were called. Species that had never dared to dream of freedom began to whisper about the humans who had liberated an entire world in a single day. The Galactic Council was about to learn that their vote against Earth had consequences they never imagined. The Galactic Council ruled against Earth, Part 4. The galaxy was burning, not with fire, but with rebellion. In the 3 months since the liberation of Kepler 442b, 17 more worlds had declared independence from the Council. Each victory brought new allies to what people were calling the Liberation Network. Colonel Park Jun-ho stood in the command center of New Kepler, the first free Thurgan world. Around him, beings from 6 different species worked together at control stations. The sight still amazed him. Thurgans with their golden fur worked next to blue-skinned Ashanti. Tall, bird-like Eryx stood beside short, rock-skinned Gorians. All of them were focused on the same goal: freedom. "Colonel," called out Krikstal, the former slave who was now the elected leader of his people, "we are receiving reports from the Arcturus system. The Velthari are moving a large fleet toward the Eryx homeworld." Colonel Park Jun-ho studied the holographic display that showed ship movements across nearby star systems. Red dots marked Council forces. Blue dots were Liberation Network allies. The red dots were gathering in numbers he had never seen before. "They are planning something big," he said quietly. Dr. Song Hee-jin looked up from her research station. She was studying something that might be the most important discovery of the war. For weeks, she had been working with alien psychologists to understand why humans were so good at working with other species. "Colonel, I think I know why we are winning," she said. "Tell me." Dr. Song Hee-jin activated her presentation screen. It showed brain scans from humans and several alien species. "Look at these patterns. When humans interact with other species, certain parts of our brains light up that stay dark in other aliens. We actually feel what they feel. We understand their emotions as if they were our own." Colonel Park Jun-ho frowned. "I do not understand." "Empathy," Dr. Song Hee-jin explained. "Real empathy. Other species can cooperate through treaties and fear, but humans can form genuine emotional bonds with aliens. We are the first species in galactic history that can truly understand others who are completely different from us." The implications were staggering. It explained why human-led teams accomplished things that should have been impossible. It explained why freed slaves fought so hard for the Liberation Network. It explained why the Council was so afraid of humanity. On the other side of the galaxy, engineer Lee Dong-min was seeing this theory proven in real life. On New Kepler, he worked in a laboratory where humans, Thurgans, and Erix scientists collaborated on projects that none of them could have completed alone. The Thurgans were master crystal shapers. They could grow computer crystals that processed information faster than any known technology. The Erix understood quantum mechanics in ways that seemed like magic to other species. They could manipulate space and time on small scales. But it was the humans who could take these different abilities and combine them into something greater. Engineer Lee Dong-min did not just translate between the species. He understood what each group was trying to achieve and helped them work together to achieve it. The result was technology that exceeded anything the Council had ever imagined. Ships that could appear and disappear at will. Weapons that could disable enemies without killing them. Communication systems that worked instantly across any distance. "The new stealth coding is ready," announced Erix scientist Kiltar, her feathers changing from blue to green with excitement. "Ships equipped with this technology will be completely invisible to Council sensors." Thurgan crystal shaper Vexrim added his own discovery. "The quantum computers are operational. They can break any Council encryption in minutes." Engineer Lee Dong-min smiled as he watched his alien colleagues celebrate. 6 months ago, these beings had been slaves or refugees. Now they were creating wonders that would reshape the galaxy, but not everyone was celebrating. In the crystal chambers of Nexus Prime, Supreme Counselor Velthaxis was planning the complete destruction of the human rebellion. The tall Silver Velthari leader had ruled the Council for over 2 centuries. He had never faced a challenge like this. "The purification protocol is authorized," he announced to the emergency assembly. "Every world that has joined the human rebellion will be sterilized. Every ship that flies their flag will be destroyed. Every being that supports them will be eliminated." The announcement sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The purification protocol had only been used once before, against a species that had tried to use biological weapons against Council worlds. That entire species had been wiped out of existence. But the humans had been expecting this. Captain Shin Ye-jin floated in the zero-gravity command center of her stealth ship. For months, her team had been infiltrating Council communication networks, using quantum computers that could break their encryption instantly. Every message the Council sent, every order they gave, was being read by human intelligence officers. "The purification fleet is moving toward Earth," her communications officer reported. 800 ships, the largest armada in Council history. Captain Shin Ye-jin smiled grimly. "Perfect. Signal Admiral No Jae-wook. Operation Mirror Shield is authorized." Admiral No Jae-wook received the message aboard his flagship, hidden in an asteroid field near the edge of Council space. Around him, invisible to any scanner, waited the largest human fleet ever assembled. But these ships were not heading toward Earth to defend it. They were heading toward every major Council world simultaneously. "All units, begin the attack," Admiral No Jae-wook ordered. "Remember, we target military and government facilities only. Civilian populations are to be protected at all costs." Across the galaxy, human ships appeared from nowhere. They struck Council supply depots, communication relays, and military bases. But they did not attack civilian targets. Instead, they broadcast a simple message. "The Liberation Network offers freedom to all who desire it. The effect was immediate and devastating. Council fleets that had been moving toward human territories suddenly found themselves cut off from supplies and reinforcements. Worlds that had been loyal to the Council for centuries began to question whether their rulers could actually protect them. Commander Yang Minji led the most daring mission of all. Her team had infiltrated Nexus Prime itself, the heart of Council power. Their target was not the Council chambers, but the central database that contained the true history of galactic civilization. "Security systems are down," reported her technical specialist as they moved through the station's corridors. "Quantum viruses are uploading to the main computer." "How long until we can access the historical files?" Commander Yang Minji asked. 3 minutes. Those 3 minutes felt like hours. If they were caught, the mission would fail. But if they succeeded, every being in the galaxy would learn the truth about their rulers. The upload completed just as station security forces began to converge on their position. Commander Yang Minji activated the broadcast system and sent the stolen data to every communication network in the galaxy. The truth was devastating. For thousands of years, the Council had deliberately prevented technological and social development. They had created artificial shortages to maintain control. They had started wars between species to keep them weak. They had suppressed any discovery that might threaten their power. The broadcast reached every world, every ship, every being with access to galactic communications. In minutes, the entire galaxy knew that their rulers had been lying to them for millennia. The result was chaos. Council loyalist forces found themselves fighting not just human ships, but rebellions on their own worlds. Species that had never questioned Council authority began demanding answers. The careful order that had maintained galactic civilization for thousands of years began to collapse. Supreme Counselor Velthaxis watched his empire crumble from his throne room on Nexus Prime. The humans had not just defeated his fleets. They had destroyed the very foundation of his power, the belief that the Council was necessary for galactic peace. "Sir," his aide reported, "we are receiving surrender requests from 47 Council worlds. They want to negotiate with the Liberation Network." Velthaxis stood and walked to the great window that showed the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, the humans were offering the galaxy something the Council never had: hope. For the first time in his long life, the Supreme Counselor wondered if the humans might actually be right. The Galactic Council ruled against Earth. Part 5. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. On every world with communication access, beings watched as President Kim Young-soo stood before the cameras in the liberated Nexus Prime station. Behind him, representatives from over 400 species waited quietly. Some had been council members, others had been slaves. Many had been forgotten entirely by galactic civilization. Now, they were all equals. "Citizens of the galaxy," President Kim Young-soo began, his voice carrying to billions of beings across thousands of worlds. "Today marks the end of an age of fear and the beginning of an age of hope. The Galactic Council claimed to bring order to the stars. Instead, they brought oppression. They said they protected civilization. Instead, they prevented it from growing. The audience, former Supreme Counselor Velthaxis, sat with his hands bound by energy restraints. He was not dead, though many called for his execution. The Liberation Network had chosen a different path. They would show the galaxy that justice could exist without revenge. "We do not seek to rule you," President Kim Young-soo continued. "We seek to free you. Today I invite every species, every world, every being to join the Galactic Concordat, a truly democratic federation where all voices are heard and all rights are protected." Ambassador Park So-young stepped forward to read the founding principles of the new government. Her voice was steady and clear as she spoke words that would reshape galactic civilization forever. First, all sentient beings have the right to freedom. No species may enslave another. Second, all species have the right to self-determination. No world may be forced to follow laws it did not help create. Third, knowledge belongs to everyone. No technology may be hidden to maintain power over others. The announcement caused celebration on some worlds and panic on others. But nowhere was the reaction more dramatic than in the Tartarus Nebula, where the Krex Dominion had activated their final weapon, Admiral Cho Kyung-ho stood on the bridge of his flagship as it approached the ancient space station hidden in the nebula's purple clouds. Intelligence reports said the Kreks had found a weapon left behind by the precursors, the mysterious race that had vanished from the galaxy millions of years ago. "Admiral," his sensor officer reported, "the station is powering up. Energy readings are off the scale." Through the main window, Admiral Cho Kyung-ho could see the massive structure ahead. It was built like a metal flower with petals that stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Strange lights danced between the petals, and space itself seemed to bend around the station. "All ships, attack formation," Admiral Cho Kyung-ho ordered. "We cannot let them activate that weapon." The human fleet moved forward, but they were too late. The ancient station fired a beam of pure energy that turned an entire moon into dust in seconds. The weapon was designed to destroy solar systems, to wipe out all life across multiple worlds at once. Admiral Cho Kyung-ho felt ice in his stomach. If the Kreks used this weapon against human worlds, millions would die. But as his ships approached the station, something unexpected happened. Lieutenant Kim Na-young, his communications officer, suddenly stood up from her station. Her eyes were wide with wonder and fear. "Admiral," she said quietly, "something is talking to me." "What do you mean?" "The weapon. It has a mind, an artificial intelligence left behind by the precursors. It is asking me questions." Admiral Cho Kyung-ho had heard about Lieutenant Kim Na-young's unusual abilities. She could communicate with computer systems in ways that other humans could not. But he had never seen her look so amazed. "What is it asking?" Lieutenant Kim Na-young closed her eyes and concentrated. When she spoke again, her voice sounded different, older somehow. "It wants to know if we have learned to live in peace. It wants to know if the galaxy has grown beyond the need for weapons like this." The station's energy readings were climbing higher. Soon, the Kreks would fire it again, probably at Earth itself. But Lieutenant Kim Na-young was talking to the weapon as if it were a person. "Tell it," Admiral Cho Kyung-ho said, "that we are trying to build a galaxy based on cooperation instead of conquest. Tell it that we seek to heal old wounds, not create new ones." Lieutenant Kim Na-young nodded and went silent for several minutes. Around the fleet, the ancient station's energy readings began to drop. "The intelligence understands," Lieutenant Kim Na-young finally said. "The precursors built this weapon during their own time of war, hoping their descendants would be wise enough never to use it. It has been waiting millions of years for someone to prove that the galaxy had learned from its mistakes." The weapon powered down completely. The Kreks ships that had been preparing to fire on human worlds found their controls no longer responding. The ancient intelligence had decided that such weapons had no place in the new galaxy. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Lim Ju-hyun was overseeing the opening of the first Integration Academy. The building looked like a crystal flower growing from a hillside, designed by architects from 12 different species working together. Inside, beings from across the galaxy were learning to cooperate in ways their ancestors had never imagined. "Set the key," Dr. Lim Ju-hyun explained to his first class of students, "is not to eliminate differences, but to celebrate them. When species work together, each brings unique strengths that make the whole greater than the sum of its parts." The students were an amazing sight. Velthari engineers sat next to Thurgan artists. Ashanti philosophers debated with Eric scientists. Even former council loyalists were learning to see the universe through new eyes. The integration academies were already spreading to other worlds. Within a year, there would be hundreds of them, teaching millions of beings how to build the cooperative society that humanity envisioned. 1 year later, the transformation was complete. The ceremony on Earth drew representatives from over 2,000 species. The Galactic Concordat was officially established, with its capital rotating between different worlds so that no single species could dominate the others. Admiral Kim Dae-ho, now promoted from his old rank of captain, stood where he had once faced rejection and humiliation. But the chamber had changed. Instead of curved rows that separated species by importance, there were circular tables where beings sat together as equals. 1 year ago, Admiral Kim Dae-ho said to the assembled delegates, "You voted to restrict humanity to our home system. You saw us as dangerous because we were different. Today I stand before you not as a human speaking to aliens, but as one, being speaking to others who share the same dreams of freedom and prosperity." In the audience, Ambassador Rixtel of the Ashanti waved his tentacles in approval. Beside him sat former war leader Velkoroth, who had become an advocate for peaceful cooperation after seeing how humans treated their former enemies with respect rather than revenge. The ceremony concluded with the launch of humanity's greatest achievement, the exploration vessel New Horizon. Unlike the warships that had fought for freedom, this ship was built purely for discovery and diplomacy. Young cadet Shin Woo-jin stood on the bridge as the ship prepared for its first mission to regions beyond the galaxy's edge. His job was not to conquer new worlds, but to invite new species to join the growing community of free peoples. "Course laid in, Captain," the navigation officer reported. "Take us out," the captain ordered. "Time to see what wonders await us in the darkness between stars." As the New Horizon jumped to hyperspace, it carried with it the hopes of an entire galaxy. The Council's vote against Earth had been intended to keep humanity small and isolated. Instead, it had started a revolution that freed billions of beings and created a civilization based on cooperation rather than domination. The galaxy had learned that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons. It was their fundamental belief that every being, no matter how different, deserved to be treated with dignity and respect. The vote had indeed been the Council's last mistake, but it had also been the galaxy's greatest gift.